Hello, and thank you for joining us for this presentation entitled Reporting Against All Your Progress and Non-Progress Data Sources Easily and Quickly. My name's Stephen Oakes. I'm the Customer Accounts Manager for Cyberscience in Europe. In a few minutes, I'll be handing over to Dave Darby, my colleague, Senior Consultant. And Dave's helped hundreds of customers implement reporting and BI solutions against many applications over the last 30 or so years. Please do ask any questions as we go, and we'll also be happy to provide more specific information offline if that's better suited. Okay, I'm just going to turn my webcam off. Okay, so first of all, let's have a quick look at the agenda. So first of all, we'll talk about the challenge we set out to resolve with Cyberquery. Then we'll go over what Cyberquery can do for you, or some of the things Cyberquery can do for you as a Progress user or a software vendor, or even if you're a consultant. Then we'll talk about some typical requirements that Progress users have. We'll look at a couple of customer case studies or testimonials, and then we'll hand over to Dave for a demonstration of the software. We develop and sell a reporting, BI, and analytics solution called Cyberquery. We're not here to tell you that extracting data using ABL, Progress, or SQL is bad, or that you shouldn't do it, or that using Excel is wrong. What we would like to do, though, is suggest ways in which Cyberquery can add real value to your applications, whether they're in-house developed systems, or if you're a vendor selling your own solution, and ensuring that your customers have the tools and solutions at hand that they need. To set the scene, I'd like to start with this statement from our managing director. He says, managers at all levels tell us that it's too hard and too time-consuming to get all the information they need when they need it and in the format they need. We've spent the last 40 years perfecting our unique solution to this problem. And that's really the challenge that we're addressing, making it easier to get the information you and your customers, if you're a vendor, need out of the application easily and in the format you need, when you and your users need it. So what can Cyberquery do for you? Well, you can add significant value to your applications with Cyberquery. Whether you provide an off-the-shelf application, customized application, or an in-house developed solution, Cyberquery can add value and reinvigorate your application and prolong its life. Users will begin to see the application in a new light. If it's easier to get information out, they begin to see the point of using it and putting good data in. They become invested in the application. Cyberquery can extend the life of your application as well. Users are less likely to get restless and start looking around for something else. If you're a vendor, hopefully this means they'll continue paying your yearly support for longer. Users' perceptions of your application will change. They'll no longer have to access the information they need through a sequence of screens or keystrokes, or run an extract to Excel and perform complex manual ETL on it, or have to request a report from IT or the vendor and wait and ask for changes when it's wrong. Cyberquery is designed for end-user reporting. We try our best to make end-user reporting and data interrogation mouse-driven. Cyberquery will enable your users to become more interactive with the data and get what they need when they need it. All of this means, hopefully, that your users will be happier and more content. They'll see the application and you in a more positive light. Hopefully stick around as users for longer. Perhaps recommend you to others and become referenceable if they're not already. Maybe they'll spend more and be more likely to invest in your other products and services. Cyberquery supported Progress and OpenEdge for over 20 years now. It's extremely fast at hitting the live data. Speed is always key. Cyberquery can also access the data held in any application or database, Progress or otherwise, or a combination of applications together. Can it live data, stage data, or both at the same time? This is facilitated via our powerful data dictionary layer. For example, all your Progress applications Any ERPs, any CRM packages, financial packages, spreadsheets and other local data sources, legacy applications, and anything else in your organization can all be reported on live or staged, regardless of the underlying database type and architecture. We have around 4,000 customers using Cyberquery. This includes approximately 1,500 sites using Cyberquery against progress data, about 800 of which are using the progress application called QAD. We've also got lots of partnerships with progress application vendors as well. So to set the scene a little bit further, I'd like to talk about the types of requirements that progress users often have. Hopefully these will all be familiar to you. Users are typically asking for easy access to their progress data. They may also require access to other applications, as I've already mentioned. They're interested in the type of reports, charts, and analytics the system can do, and how they can be scheduled and distributed and deployed to those who need them. They're interested in how to output to various formats like Excel, PDF, HTML, and so on, and how to drill down to find out the underlying data behind the headlines. There are lots of reporting tools around, but none have the power and functionality of Cyberquery. It's a result of over 40 years continuous development and refinement, and it shows. There's an interface for each type of user, whether you're an executive, an end user, a power user, a developer, or an administrator. There's an interface for everybody. With Cyberquery, you can create the whole range of reporting and BI output. With one integrated solution, you can create the following and much more. Everything from simple lists to advanced to financial report, to advanced reports, to financial reports, logistical reports like bills and materials, sales analysis, KPIs, dashboards, charts, production reports, operative reports, data extracts perhaps to feed into other applications, ad hoc reporting. This is interactive reporting, typically answering questions on the fly. With Cyberquery, this is an end user function using the drag and drop interface. This is flexibility that's often missing from applications. How often have you said yourself or heard users say, I know that it's in there, but I just can't get at it? Well, with Cyberquery, you can get at it, and easily. Exception reports, automated reporting, web-based drill down reporting applications, structured deployment approaches, portals, statements, analysis, traffic lights, scorecards. You get the idea. Pretty much anything else you require in the reporting and BI arena. And we also have close integration with Excel. Pricing, always an important one. Our pricing policy is clear and transparent. We offer a subscription approach or alternatively a license fee plus a yearly support alternative. And if you're a vendor, we can work with you to come up with a model that works for you in your environment and one which your salesman can understand and sell. Now I'd like to talk about some customer experiences and testimonies. First up, a few words from a fairly recently signed up customer called SuzoHap, who provides solutions to the financial, retail, gaming, and amusement space. Charlie Sines, the Global VP of Information Technology, sent me a statement about their experiences with Cyberquery and Cyberscience. He says, we identified that there was a substantial gap in M3 during our implementation process around reporting and the ability of users to pull information out themselves. Excuse me. We met Cyberscience at a user convention in Nottingham and haven't looked back since. The team are a pleasure to work with, and the product is very user-friendly. After a couple of sessions, our end users are able to pull and make their own reports, giving them the independence and enablement that we needed. We're looking to expand from M3, which is their ERP, to our other systems globally. Next up, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Amtico. They're one of our many customers reporting against the Progress application QAD. They're a market-leading manufacturer of luxury vinyl tiles. They generate around about 90,000 reports each month. They have about 200 people consuming reports via email, and they've got 15 wall boards. And I'll tell you a little bit more about one of their wall boards in just a minute. I asked Antico to describe what Cyberquery does for them, and here's what they said. They were struggling to get the information they needed out of QAD, which is a fairly complicated OpenEdge database with upwards of 600 tables. They chose Cyberquery because it offered them a quick report development cycle. Reporting was slow with lots of manual processes. With Cyberquery, they can write reports quickly in-house, in IT, sure, but they can also empower their end users as well. They were looking for something that was intuitive to use, with a familiar interface, with a drag and drop and wizards to get you started. They like the fact that you can achieve advanced reports not only using the drag and drop, but also using the Cyberquery language. Some use so the drag and drop Cyberquery reports can all be converted into the Cyberquery language, and some users prefer to use this. They wanted reports to be published in the required formats like Excel, PDF, HTML. And key reports that they quickly implemented during their evaluation were weekly sales reports for the company, salesperson reports, and inventory reports. And they've also got ad hoc reports and inquiries. Users and IT can now use these ad hoc reports and dive into the data and answer questions or create reports themselves and then publish them to others. They needed to be able to pull data from multiple databases on the screen now. We've got 8 live databases, various extracts, various applications that come up as they require as well. They've got a mix of hosted and on-premise data sources. They need something powerful enough to handle all of these varied data sources. So the big wins with Cyberquery: the speed and frequency of reporting. For example, the weekly sales report used to take until 10 a.m. on a Tuesday to manually pull together. It's now published by 7 a.m. on a Saturday. The business can see its pipeline and respond to issues much sooner. The quality of data. There's no hiding places with the data when reporting. When the data is visible, any problems in the data are also visible. So they had to go into the application to fix the data issues. This resulted in the overall quality of the data being stored is now much, much higher. Users started to take ownership of the data. Initially, there were some problems with the reports due to the data in the system not being correct. For example, due dates were being managed in Excel, but not updated in QAD. Fixing the data means that people have to take ownership of it. So here's one of those wall boards that I mentioned that was a big win for them recently. They'd never had access to this information in this form before. This is actually up on big screens in the factory on the shop floor. And it's a production line productivity dashboard. It's got various KPIs and targets and actuals for each shift. And it shows how each shift is performing against target and against the other shifts. And it's proven to be a great motivator for their workforce. Reporting is now regular, consistent. It's also current and allows the business to be proactive. Reports are of not what happened days ago, but of what is happening now. People can make informed decisions immediately. Now, I would like to show you much more, but we are limited for time in this session. As I said, we'll be happy to answer any questions at the end, or if you'd like to email us with any questions after that, that'd be great too. I'll now hand over to Dave, and Dave's going to show us how to seamlessly incorporate other data sources into your OpenEdge reporting environment. He's going to show you how you can improve performance by using Cyberquery to snapshot your OpenEdge database. He's going to show reporting across multiple progress data sources the easy way using Cyberquery. He's also going to give an overview of the power of Cyberquery and how it can be used to create ad hoc reports, KPIs and charts, and so on. Okay, that's it from me. I'll hand over to Dave. Over to you, Dave.
Thanks, Steve. If you just give me control of the presentation, I'll switch over. Thank you. Right, I hope you can all see my screen. I'm displaying a web browser, and you may recognize the Progress OpenEdge Explorer on my Progress server, I've got 3 databases running here, Sports 2000, a copy of it called Sports 2010, and an extra demonstration database. The nice thing about Cyberquery is you can set it up to point at multiple databases within the same reporting environment. And Cyberquery can read multiple databases of the same structure as though they were one database. And I'll demonstrate that now. Cyberquery is a server-based report writer. And so you log in using your credentials. In the case of Windows, that could be an Active Directory username and password. We also support single sign-on. So it will automatically log you into the Cyberquery server if that has been set up. Of course, we support secure communications as well. There's user and operating system group-based security, which determines which applications and which parts of the software you can see when you log into the Cyberquery server. I've got various applications here. The ones we're interested in today are the progress applications. I've got the Sports 2000 database, and I've got a snapshot of that using our proprietary query database technology. I've also got a demonstration of Cyberquery running against QAD. So we're going to start off by looking at the reporting against our Sports 2000. You may be familiar with it. It's shipped with every copy of OpenEdge. Cyberquery has got 2 versions. There's a Windows client, and there's the full Cyberquery HTML version, which runs inside your web browser. The Launchpad is our presentation portal where most of our customers go to find the information they need, run reports, get the results, export them to Excel, or email them, or whatever they want to do. Then there's some system admin tools. The Dictionary Manager maintains the map of your databases. We've got utilities to pull definitions in from Progress and other databases into the data dictionary, and it defines the relationships between all of the tables in the data dictionary. And that is what describes your reporting environment to the end user. So let's go into Cyberquery, either the full client or the HTML client, doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at creating a new report in Cyberquery. When Cyberquery starts up, you can see it uses a wizard. There's a drag and drop interface, and there's also a language interface, which is very useful, as I'll explain as we carry on. So there are different types of reports. We've got list reports, sum reports, and plots, and then special mailing labels. A list is typically 1 row in your table is a line on the page of your report. A summary report, however, is an accumulation of numeric values into buckets, and those can be grouped both down the page and across the page, as we'll see. Let's start with the sum report, because that's quite interesting. So I'm going to use the order line table, and the order line table has got an extended price on there, which is the price times quantity less the discount. And at this stage, I can carry on through the wizard. So this is the body of my summary, and it's only showing the numeric items. If I click next, I can choose what to summarize down the page by. If I choose next again, I can split it across the page. But in this case, I'm just going to hit finish and summarize all of the data that's in that order line table into a single cell. And it's going to read my progress database now and do that. So while it's running, I'm going to click on a button . Okay, come on, talk to my progress database, please. It doesn't normally take this long to run. So while that summary report is running, we are going to just go back to the menu briefly. I'll describe some of the other parts of the software, and we'll come back to that. So we've got Cyberquery. There's a few other admin tools. There's a command line, the dictionary manager I described. The queue director is our schedule service, and that allows you to schedule jobs and email the output to people. We also have a dashboard, a workbench, which is a slice and dice tool, but I'm not going to have time to demonstrate everything today. And it looks like it's doing something. Okay, something has happened to my progress database in the last 15 minutes. It was working 15 minutes ago. Let's look at Cyberquery running against the staged data. So I'm going to do the same thing, but against the staged data. That's a snapshot of the progress database, which was actually taken earlier today. So if I run Cyberquery against the staged data, it should be quite quick. So I'm going to do a sum report again. That's still not working. And I'm going to choose my order line table, and I'm going to summarize the extended price and hit finish. Because it's staged data, it goes really quickly. Read 27,000 records in a second. I can split that information across the page and down the page. So first of all, let's split it across the page by the database name. And you can see that the progress databases that this was derived from were Sports 2000 and Sports 2010. I'm then going to split it down the page, and let's split it down the page by the order date. And now I've got the order date. The first time you drag a date onto a report, it splits it by the year. And the next time you put it on, it does it by the month. And as you can see, somewhere in March 98, it changed from Sports 2000 to Sports 2010. If you drag the date on again, it would do it by the whole date. Now, one of the neat features of Cyberquery, it's got unlimited undo and redo capability. So I can just undo, and if I want to, I can replace order date. I can replace the month with the year simply by removing that, and you can see the name at the top. Okay, let's get rid of the database name. One of the things that's quite neat here is actually let's use item category. I'm going to replace the date by the item category. I see there's total sales, and I'm going to insert a ranked bullet chart and a percentage. And that shows visually the amount of sales for each of the product categories. And a visual indication is quite good. So you can see by far the biggest product category is diving. Let's switch to, let's remove the bullet chart and the extended price, and change the ranking on my product category. I'll go into the properties on there. I've got a ranking tab. I'm going to limit it to 10 categories. So I just get the top 10. Everything else puts into a category called other. It's easy enough to change this into a chart. I can convert it to a plot in the current window. I can change the chart type. So I can change the chart to a horizontal bar, for instance. And if I want, I can convert it back to a sum. But again, you've got unlimited undo and redo capability at any stage. And we can get back to our bullet chart. Okay, so that's a summary report. I'm going to switch now into demonstrating a list report. So a list report lists information one row on your page per row in your table. Let's select order line again. In this case, I'm going to select some information from the order table. So I'm going to choose the order number. I'll choose the customer name. Let's choose the product description. Let's get the price and the quantity. Okay, so this is my order information. If I hit finish now, I've got some information from the order. I've got my customer name there. If you want extra information, you can always expand the options list on the left and simply drag it onto the report. You'll notice in a summary report, it does the date in full. Okay, you can do arithmetic expressions in here. So you can highlight, right mouse click, multiply selected items, double click, brings up a dialog. You can change this to line value, the heading. Okay. So that just gives an idea of how quick it is to produce a simple report. I mentioned previously there's a language editor, and because there's source code behind Cyberquery, you can very easily do things like show duplicate values. Now, duplicates are suppressed automatically where there's a one-to-many relationship. The duplicates of the one are suppressed. I can alter the appearance of this report by creating like borders. I can do things like a stripy border, give it some colors. Let's choose a yellow. No, that's too bright. Pale yellow, that'll do. And we can also make it an invisible border. You just get left with the stripes. Using the paintbrush, you can change the font and appearance of the report, so I can make it bold. Okay. Now, one of the things that you can do with Cyberquery is we're in the language editor. You can type in the query, if you know the syntax, into the language itself. So I can sort it by the item category 1, and I can give it total, I can give it a heading of @ and I can do it on a new worksheet if I'm exporting this to Excel. So if I run that, it creates my report. Okay, if I go to the end, you'll see I've got totals for volleyball and then a report total. If I export it to Excel though, because I've used that /sheet property, you can also do it in the drag and drop visual editor from a dialog. You'll see it's created output to Excel with a product category on each tab. So that's the output to Excel. We integrate closely with Excel. The totals, for instance, are output as formulas in the Excel report. Okay. So that's a quick list report. Let's have a look at how information is delivered to your customers. And we'll go into the Cyberquery Launchpad. Now, I'm really not quite sure what's happened to my progress database. It does say it's running. But so this is a simple Launchpad, and this is just to show you one of the other types of output. So Cyberquery can create maps based on your data. If you've got geographical data, areas that we know about, then you can map it against a map. So we've got sales by different states here in the US. We've got a filter down the left here. So if I get rid of a couple of the sales reps, you'll see the map changing. Let's put them all back, select all. If I hover my cursor over one of the states, it brings up what we call a hover report in the top right-hand corner. So you can define the hover report that you want to display. If I hover over California, I will get a hover report for California. Okay, so that's just a simple way to deploy information. Let's have a look now at incorporating other information into your database. I'm going to try this once more. I'm going to try a list report on something called sales. And I'm going to add all fields. And I'm going to click finish. And we'll see what happens. Something seems to have gone on with my progress database. I'm not quite sure what. Okay, I don't think that's going to. Okay. I don't think that bit's going to work. Let's try going to the Cyberquery again. I'm going to run the same report, but I'm just going to use a spreadsheet to do it. Okay, let's go into my progress applications. So I'm going to go into Cyberquery here. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in information from another data source. Now, normally you can join this to your progress database. And I'm going to pull in a sales spreadsheet. Okay, so this is a spreadsheet and it's got sales information in here, and I can import that as a query database, which is our high performance hold file. So, or data mart. If I click, if I do it in a shared area, then other users will have access to it. And I can click finish, and it generates the query database, and it produces a report on that data. Okay. Now, I've got a large number of pages here, 1,006 pages. So what I'm going to do is reduce the data down to the country and the sales. And I'm going to create a summary of just that data. Okay. Now, country is quite, I've still got 4 pages of information here. So rather than country, let's choose something that's more restrictive, perhaps region, and drag that on and replace country with region. At this stage, I could pull country back and then pick a particular region, and I can generate a pick list from this information. And I can see all of the regions, and I can get the information for a particular region. So you can change it to radio buttons or checkboxes. Let's choose Northern Europe, for instance, and I get all of the countries in Northern Europe. Let's optimize the display width of country here. Now, one of the things you can do is you can rank the information, and that ranks it in descending value order. I could include the order date and split it across the page by the order date. So I get the sales for each year. Now, if I want to do a comparison of the year-on-year values, I can insert a copy of that column, and I can change it to a percentage. By default, it shows the percentage as 100% at the bottom right-hand corner. Of course, this could be a variable number of years, splitting it across the page. Let's change that percentage. If I look at the percentage properties, I can show it as a percentage of the whole report, which is the default, of the column, of the row, was a percentage of the previous across value. And I can show it as a percentage difference. And then I can show this as a bullet chart if I wanted to. So I can show it visually rather than as a direct percentage. And you can see visually the change year on year, whether it's positive or negative and how much it is. Of course, if I bring back my pick list, I can choose different countries and I can look at the change in values there. Now, this one's got a big outlier. It's got 3,000% for Croatia. So if you want to restrict the outlying values, you can easily do that by saying specify a maximum value, and that's going to be as a percentage. Let's make it 300%. Let's also give it a minimum value of minus 300%, and then we can see where it's exceeded, it puts a stripe through the maximum value or minimum value if it was less than minus 300. So you can change the values. If you hover your cursor over there, it does show you the actual percentage change on the previous year. Perhaps they just started up the year before. Okay, let's just get out of here. And I'll just show you very quickly how most of our users go and get their data. So I'm going to go into a different launch pad, which has got more information in than just a map. And this one has got some embedded KPIs. So you can drill down into the data. So you can have hyperlinks embedded in the reports. It's another style of hyperlink where things appear in a different window on the same page. On customers, there's another hyperlink over here where you can get a pop-up report rather than a drill down report. Instead of replacing it, it pops up in a separate window. And we've also got the ability to subscribe to reports. So if you see a report you like, you can say, I want this emailed to me every Monday, whenever it's next executed, every once a week in Excel format, and you say subscribe. And then it will email that report to you in Excel format. Okay. So it's very easy to, let's go back to suppliers here. I'll just show you, I've got a minute or two left. I'm going to show you a couple of other reports, styles of reports you can do with Cyberquery. So this is multiple reports on a page, and it shows the use of something called spark lines, which shows a trend, and again, bullet charts against a target. It's called a bullet chart because you can put a bullet if it seriously underperforms its intended target. Okay. Something that Steve showed you in the slides. This is a live version, and it's just displaying the one of those screens, one of the wallboards for that customer. Okay, close that. That's all fake data. It's not the customer's real data, that one. And last but not least, if you have permission, Cyberquery allows you to edit or clone reports that are defined within the database. So you can take a copy of a report, make changes to it, and then republish it as a different report. So I've got the outstanding purchase orders here. I might want to see the supplier code, which isn't actually listed on here. So I can go to the vendor and get the vendor number and include that on my report and change the heading to supplier code. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I've done that now. I could save this as a new variant of that report and publish it back. If I was editing it, I could just save those changes directly to the Launchpad and they would be made. Okay. I've come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you for watching. We'll have a Q&A session where we can reply to your questions, or we'll get back to you if we don't have any immediate answers. So thanks for your time.
Actually, we do not have questions from the audience so far.
Philosophies about the
Okay. Right. Yeah, I've got one question.
What's happening now?